Today I'll be again discussing about the machine learning, the basic concepts, and what we will be learning in this course, and what will be the outcome of this course and internship. So the first thing is about me and about our company, the Limat Soft Solution. We are Bangalore-based company, and about me, I'm Pradipta Chatterjee, and with more than 4 to 5 years of experience in data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and also in Python, C, Java, C++ in all these languages. So I'll be your trainer for the next few days. Now about machine learning, we already know about Geo, and from the last 2 years, whenever Geo has came into the market, we are we are generating huge amount of data each and every day. Like each and every day, we are like consuming 1.5 GB or 2 GB, and almost we are generating millions of amount of data. So this is really a very much high amount of data. In the previous methods, like the traditional methods, we can like store the data in Excel or like that format. But in today's era, it is like impossible to handle this huge amount of data. So wait for one more minute. I think some, yeah. So now it's really very difficult to handle this much amount of data. So we need some programming languages or some machines to understand the data and to uh, to do some operations and to analyze the data and to visualize the data for us. So that's why we need machine learning. That's why we need programming languages. And for your reference, like each and every day, we create almost 2.5 quintillion bytes of data, and like the 90% of the data is we have created 90% of this amount of data in on last 2 years only. So this is really a huge amount of data, and we are creating this amount of data each and every day. So it will be really very hard for us to control the data, to manipulate the data, and without this data, like in this modern world, everything is useless. Even if we are using our Android smartphone, we are using our Google's voice assistant Alexa, we are like doing shopping using Amazon or Flipkart, whatever we are doing, everything is useless without this data. Facebook, Instagram, each and everything that we use in our daily basis life. So without machine learning and without this data, it's really impossible for us. So why machine learning? I already discussed these things also with you. Like why? Because if we see the applications of machine learning, like we can clearly think that the image recognition, the speech recognition, traffic prediction, like in productions or self-driving cars of Tesla, Amazon, all these things, all the big companies, all the tech companies are using machine learning. So without machine learning, our life would be meaningless in today's world. So this is the actual idea, and this is the actual thing that we should learn machine learning, and every tech enthusiast should know something about machine learning. Like in the real world example, as I discussed, some traffic predictions, automatic translations like Google translations, and all these things are happening. Fraud detection. In fraud detection, like whenever we are having some unwanted transactions in banking system, machine learning models can automatically predict those fraud detects whether there is any fraud or transaction or not. Also, for the case of image recognition, we can classify images, we can we can do some face recognition algorithm we can perform. Spam filtering, we have some features in spam filtering as well. So all these things can be done using machine learning. These things are all real world examples for machine learning. And whatever I discussed right here is written clearly in this slide, and I will be sharing this slide with you all. One more confusion is there among all the tech enthusiasts, that what is the difference between AI, ML, and DL, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. The main difference is like artificial intelligence is mimicking the intelligence of human behaviors, and machine learning is whenever the machine learns, we have to pass some data. Either the data can be labeled data or the data can be unlabeled data. So whenever we are passing some data to the model, and it's learning from the data, then it is called machine learning. And deep learning, as you can see, it is the subset of machine learning. Deep learning is the technique. So whenever there is a huge amount of data, like millions or trillions, this much amount of data, then we cannot rely on machine learning algorithms. It will not be that much faster, and it will not be like that much efficient as well. So then we need deep learning. In deep learning, our actual aim or our actual purpose is to create a artificial neural network, like our own biological neural network. We create this kind of artificial neural network using any programming language like Python or R. And then we can like predict any outcomes or whatever we are trying to predict. And there is also one more term, that is data science. So data science is like the superset of all this artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. So there is data science. Inside data science, we have data structure algorithms and all these things with artificial intelligence, with machine learning, with deep learning. This is all about the basic introduction. And so whatever we will be learning in this course, the first thing will be Python for machine learning, because there are basically two languages. The first one is Python and second one is R, specially made for machine learning and data science, data analytics, and data visualization. So we will be learning Python because it is very easy to understand and very easy to implement as well. And it has a huge amount of libraries like scikit-learn. So we can directly implement any machine learning algorithm using the scikit-learn library. So there are several reasons we will be learning Python, and today itself we will be starting Python. The next thing is about some Python libraries. Those are really very important for learning machine learning algorithms like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib. There are some other libraries as well, like Seaborn and SciPy. All these libraries, using all these libraries and all these modules, we can implement some machine learning algorithms. Like NumPy, Pandas, these are really very important. Using NumPy, we can analyze some data. Using Pandas, we can filter the data. Like whenever we download some data, the actual raw data, it's kind of impossible for us to find the proper data and clear data. We have to clear the data by ourselves. That is the part of data pre-processing. So for that reason, we use Pandas. The next one is Matplotlib. Matplotlib is basically for visualizing the graph, visualizing the actual our machine learning model. So that's why we need Matplotlib. There is another library called Seaborn. We will be using Seaborn as well for visualizing the data, because analysis is really important. But whenever we will be passing our data to another our team members, so they need to visualize the data. The first thing that they will be doing is visualizing the data. So that's why we need Matplotlib. So these things will be taught first. The next thing is about some machine learning algorithms. Machine learning algorithms like supervised learning. Supervised learning is the very basic and fundamental yet very useful machine learning algorithm. In supervised machine learning algorithm, we generally provide some data, some labeled data to the model, to the machine learning model we have designed. So whenever we provide some labeled data to our model, the machine learning model learns from the data. And then when we provide some unlabeled data, some random data as input, so it will predict the right output for us. There are several techniques to do that, to implement supervised machine learning algorithms. We will be learning all the algorithms in detail. The next one is unsupervised learning. Unsupervised learning is also another type of machine learning algorithm where we provide only the data, and the model predicts the pattern or the hidden structures in the machine learning in the data actually. So here we do not provide the label, we only provide the data, and the model itself will find some patterns, some hidden structures, or what are the similarities, what are the differences between several amount of data, and it will automatically generate some output. It will not give us the actual output that I will give you examples about that also. And the next thing is reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning is this is exactly my favorite machine learning algorithm, because this is the way we learn, we human learn. Like, suppose there is a child, and whenever he will put his hand into a flame, into fire, he will be like, at that moment he will experience some pain, and he will experience some problem, he will experience some trouble. So based on that experience, the next time he will be offered a flame or he will offered a fire, so he will not be touching that fire or the flame. So this is like the actual thing that we implement and that we see in the sci-fi movies, and like in the robotics world, this is the actual thing that we see, and this is the future of machine learning or artificial intelligence. So this is all about three major types of machine learning: supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement. And then we will be having some really cool machine learning projects. Not only the projects that you will be writing code in your Jupyter notebook or in your Google Colab, but also you will be actually deploying some web applications using Streamlit or using Flask or using Django. So we will be really not only implementing the machine learning model, but also we will be preparing it for the end users, that exactly how a machine learning model should look like. So this is about the entire course structure. I hope this is clear to you all. The next thing is our Python basic and libraries. Today we will be starting the basic Python. From today onwards, we will be like brushing up our Python skills, because as I mentioned, Python is really very important. Like the list, tuple, set, dictionary, these are the basic data structure in Python, and these things are very very important for you all. The next thing is about some libraries: NumPy, SciPy, Matplotlib, and Pandas. We will be studying all those libraries. So till this point, I think it is clear to you all, right? I think till this point, it is clear, Vishnu.
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay. So now we will be starting uh, writing some codes in Python. And before that, let me present my Python notebook itself. So in Python, what we will be learning. In Python, the first thing will be the basic Python introduction. The next thing, the very important thing, is the conditionals. So we will be learning the syntax as well as the logic. The logic is independent of any programming language, but the syntax is really very important. The next thing is loops, then list, string, tuple, dictionary, and set. These things are very basic data structures in Python. So these things are really very important for a programmer or for a data scientist. The next thing is some advanced concepts like exception handling, functions, file handling, and object-oriented programming in Python. Then we will be looking for some modules in Python. And also we will not be like doing the MySQL part, because that is not important for our machine learning. But if you are interested, then I can show you about how we can connect our MySQL database with Python. We can also program some GUI programming using tkinter. We can develop some desktop applications, we can develop some web applications using Django, and we can implement our machine learning model in it as well. So whenever we will be learning, either we will be doing it using Django or Streamlit or tkinter or any other framework, but we will be deciding that later. So these things are the very basic thing that we will be covering. First, the introduction to Python. About what is Python? So the basic like definition is written here, and I have taken the definition from the actual website itself, python.org. So here are some terms that may confuse you, like interpreted, object oriented, high level programming languages. What does this mean? So let me explain the terms one by one. First of all, I will discuss about scripting languages, that we can write the entire script like in C or in Java or in any other programming languages. We write a script and then we execute the script. So we can do that in Python as well. The second thing is the interpreted. Interpreted language mean we can simply write a single line and then we can hit enter and the line will be executed. This is about interpreted language. Then simple language. Simple means the structure, simple and high level, both the things. The structure in Python, the syntax in Python is very easy and easy to understand for anyone new to programming, that I'll be explaining to you in the next few slides. And it's so simple that's very similar to English language actually. And high level means there are basically two type of languages: high level language and low level language. High level is that is understandable by humans, and low level language means 0 1, that is understandable by the computers. So Python is really very high level language that anyone can understand the language very easily. General purpose language means from web development to Android development to machine learning, from machine learning to medical science, from solving some mathematics and physics problems to software development. We can learn and we can go into any field after learning Python. Python is so general purpose because after learning Python we can jump into any field and we can start coding and we can start the development in that particular field. Next thing is about object oriented programming. So object oriented programming is basically the real life implementation of any programming language, and Python contains the object oriented features. Like there are classes, there are structures, there are classes and objects. So about object oriented programming, the class is basically like a design, and based on that particular design we generally uh, we generally create some objects, and that objects are related to like real life objects. So we will be covering the object oriented programming in detail in our next slides, in some next slides. So about Python's history, Guido van Rossum created Python, and the developer is this. So these things are not necessary, but still to show some respect I have included this slide in this presentation. Next thing is why Python. I already mentioned all these things, but from a developer's perspective or from learning point of view, there are some cool reasons that in other programming languages, suppose we have to do some code, we have to do some problem solving stuff. So we may need 20 to 30 lines of code, but in Python, it reduces to 2 to 3 lines of code. It's really very very user friendly and very simple. So the readability is really great. There is no need to specify any kind of semicolon, like any variable declaration or any curly braces for function. That is no unnecessary characters and syntax in Python. This is really a very cool feature because once I missed a semicolon while I was writing a C programming, and I was unable to find the error. Where was the error? So these things are like very cool features, and I really love these features in Python. The next thing is about the development time, because as I mentioned, the Python is a interpreted programming language. If I can just write a single line and then I can hit enter and the line will be executed. If I have to write even less lines of code, the readability is better and it is very simple. There is no need to write any unnecessary characters or syntax. So definitely the development time will be very faster. So this is the main reason that we have chosen Python over any other languages like R or any other languages to learn machine learning. So whatever I discussed is already written in this part. This PPT will be shared with you. So just have a look, so you will be able to understand whatever I discussed. So that was from learning point of view, but from development or from the jobs perspective, as I discussed, because it is a general purpose language. So after learning Python, we can jump into web development, we can jump into software development. So Android development, big data analysis, cybersecurity, medical science, because in recent days we can even compute the we can identify whether a person is having COVID or not using chest X-rays. So that is really a great feature of machine learning and deep learning. We can solve complex mathematics and physics problem. We can definitely learn machine learning. So all these things, after learning Python, we can jump into anything and we can be a developer and we can really get a high paying job. So this is the reason we will be focusing on Python really in a great way. So here is an example. So I have a code in Java. This is the very basic code for printing a hello world in our console or in the terminal in Java. This code is written in Java, so there are some keywords like public, class, hello world, the system.out.println, string, args. So there are this square brackets. There are several things. So if someone is very new to programming or someone is really a layman, so he or she will not be able to understand this program at a glance. At very basically, he or she will not be able to understand exactly what is happening. The same goes for C as well. So this is also a very basic template for a C program to print hello world to the console. But here also there are some header files, there are some preprocessor. What is this has this return zero? There are several things. So whoever is a very new to programming or a layman, he or she will not be able to understand this code properly. He or she may predict that yeah, the output will be hello world, but the actual thing, all the logics will not be very clear to you. Why this curly braces, this semicolon, all these things. But in Python, we can simply write print hello world and the output will be like hello world. This is really works like magic. We can simply write this hello world into our Python interpreter and we can hit enter. The output will be hello world. This is really very interesting for Python or for anyone to learn Python. This is also a very interesting factor. As I mentioned, in other languages, suppose we have to line 20 to 30 lines of code. In Python, it reduces to 2 to 3 lines of code. So to install Python, you can go to python.org in the official site and you can download Python from this button. This is a snapshot. This is a snapshot of that page. You can go to this site and you could download Python and then you can install Python. Remember one thing, you have to give the checkbox. The checkbox will say add path, so you have to mention that path to your environment system environment variable to run Python properly in your machine. The next thing is VS Code. VS Code is my favorite IDE. This is very lightweight and we can learn Python and we can develop Python. So Python applications. We can write code in VS Code, but we will be not writing actual codes in Python while learning. We will be using Google Colab because Google Colab is really very user friendly. There is no need to install anything into our machine. All the things are actually installed in Google's library. We can just import the libraries of Python and we can start coding. But to install VS Code, you can go to this site code.visualstudio.com/download and you can download it for Windows. Whether you are using Windows or if you are using Mac, you can download it from right here. Or you are using like Ubuntu or any Linux operating system, you can download it from here. So the basic syntax, I think this is clear to you. And we can like for a scripting language, we can write like this one, Python space filename dot py, as we do in Java or in C or in any other programming language. So this is the very basic syntax. So from this slide onwards, I will directly jump to our Google Colab itself, and there I will show you how you can actually take input from the user and you can print something, some basic operations. Okay. So this is my Google Colab. You can see collab.research.google.com, and I have created this notebook here. This is the notebook for my purpose. You can name it whatever you want. And here we will be writing our first Python code. So I can write print and we can use single quote or double quote, whatever we want. Hello world. So after this, there is no need to specify any semicolon, or there is no need to specify any other thing. We can simply click on this play button right here. So it will take some time. For the first time we are running, it is connecting, and then from that onwards, we can directly run this code, whatever is written here. So yeah, just wait for some seconds. Yeah, you can see the output. Hello world is printed. So we have just written a single line. We have clicked on this button and we can see our output. We can create another cell right here. We can create and we can print hello world with double quotes as well. It will give us the same output. Okay. So now to take any input from the user, we can do this like this one. A is equals to A is a variable. We will be discussing about variable in a moment, but let's say A is a variable, and this variable, in this variable, we will store some value. So I can use input from the user, and then I will be printing the value of A. Let's execute this one. So this will ask for some value. I can enter 10 right here, and then the 10 will be printed. So let me decorate this one. We can in any other programming language, to write like this kind of syntax, we have to write printf, then scanf, then again printf, like this kind of syntax. But in Python, it is very easy. We can simply specify enter a number inside this parenthesis, inside this double quote, and we can print the value, and we can print the value even with like this one, user input is this. Let me execute this one. So you can see enter a number is printed here, and I can enter any number, 100 or whatever we want, and then the output will be right here. So this is about Python. You can see the lines of code, you can see the simplicity, you can see anyone can understand what is written here and what is happening. Okay, so now let me tell you some more facts. Like I'm taking two variables. A is a variable, and I am writing something like this. Enter number one, and B is another variable. I'm writing enter number two. Okay. So now inside another variable C, I'm adding this variable, adding the value of A and adding the value of B. Then I am printing the value of C, and here I am writing the sum is like this one. Okay. So when I will execute this one, yeah, it will ask for the first number, the number one. Let me insert 10 here. Then it will ask for the second number. I will give 20 right here. And when I will hit enter, you can see the sum is 1020. Strange, right? So this is because whenever we use this simple input right here, so it is basically we are taking a string input from the user. So whenever we use only input, by default, the input type is string. The data type is string. So we have to convert the string into an integer in order to perform the summation. So how can we do that? Let's take another variable, and here I'm converting the value, whatever we have, like whatever we have stored inside A. A is a string, so whenever we have inserted this 10, so A is a string, we have converted this string into an integer, and then we have stored the value of A inside B. The next thing is we will do the same thing, like pq is another variable, and we will convert the value of b. And then uh, in C, let's add a plus b. In R, let's add p plus q, and let's print both the output C and R. Okay, so the sum is this and the sum is this. So now let's execute this one. I am giving again 10 and 20 right here. So you can see the sum is 1020. So the value of C, because it is concatenating these two strings, A and B, these are strings, and whenever we are performing this plus operation with strings, so it is concatenating those strings. And in R, you can see the actual right output that we were expecting. So this is the basic structure for taking input, as well as we can do the same thing for float. We can do the same thing for to convert a string, the string value to float value. We have to just use the float constructor. So whenever we want to convert a value to float, we have to use like this one. Uh, we have to use like we have to use float here, float right here, and then we can add. So now let's again execute this one. I'm giving 5.5 here, then I'm giving 10.7 right here. Then when I will be executing, you can see this is because this is the sum, the value of C, uh, this inside C, this two strings has been concatenated, and the actual output is right, is this one. So another thing you have noticed, I think, that is Python is a dynamically typed language. Dynamically typed language means that whenever we declare a variable, the type of the variable will be automatically generated in the runtime. We do not have to explicitly specify the type of the variable, whether this is an integer variable or a float variable or a string type of variable. So we can we can directly declare a variable, and we can initialize the value to that variable, and in the runtime it will automatically initialized whether the type of the variable is a string or an integer or any other type. So like this one, I am initializing a variable a equals to 5, then I am printing the value of a. Then again I am initializing the same variable with hello, this is a string, and I'm printing the value a. Then again I am initializing 5.5, then I'm printing the value of a. So now let's execute this one. You can see 5, this is an integer, the string, this is an the value of string, and 5.5 is a floating point number. So we do not have to explicitly specify each and every time that the type of the variable is integer or a string or a floating point number. The compiler will automatically decide that, yeah, this is a floating point number, this is a string, this is like this one, or double, or whatever it is. Right. So I hope this is clear to you. We will now again have a look at these slides. So this was the very basic syntax. Now comments, you may have noticed I have used this hash or the pound symbol almost everywhere. I have used this hash or the pound symbol almost everywhere in my code. So whenever we will use this kind of syntax, the compiler will ignore, Python will ignore them, because these are comments. Comments are like, if we want to like explain some code, as I have explained the functionality of the code, we can like explain the each and every line as well, and we can prevent some line from execution. So have a look at the examples. So suppose I have written this code in our compiler. So whenever I will add this hash sign in front of this line, so this is a comment. So compiler will ignore this statement. After a line, like after printf, after print hello world, whenever I will specify this is a comment, the compiler will ignore this line. Whenever I will write the print hello world, and this like in front of this hello world print statement, I will include this hash symbol or the pound symbol. The compiler will ignore this line as well, so this line will not be executed. Only one time, cheers mate, this line will be executed. So I hope this is clear to you. The next concept that we already discussed into our Google Colab is about variables. Variables, the concept of variables is really very conceptual, because if we are not able to properly visualize the concept of variables, you may face some problems. Because right now, and in this simple examples, maybe it is very clear to you, the value of a is 5, the value of b is hello, or the value of c is a character or string, whatever it is. But in actual case, what happens is, whenever we declare a variable, this is like a bucket or like a glass. The name of the glass is the name of our variable. So suppose we are assigning a is equals to 5. So the name of the glass is a, and whatever it contains, the amount of water or whatever is there inside that glass, inside that variable, that is the data value. So when I have declared a is equals to 5, or a is equals to hello, or a is equals to 5.5, so the name of the variable is a. So a is like that one, and the data value is 5.5 or 5 or whatever it is. So I hope this concept is also clear to you. And now about some keywords. About keywords, like these are some special keywords. Whenever we reserve our journey to suppose we are traveling in a train or in a plane or in bus, so we can reserve our seats, right? So whenever we reserve our seat, no one else will be able to sit there. Only we can sit right there because we have reserved our seat. So Python or any other programming languages has this feature that it has some reserved keywords, reserved words that can be used for specific purpose. Like in Python 3.8, in this present time, I think that the Python 3.10 is also there, but according to Python 3.8, we have 35 such keywords. You can easily identify them. The syntax highlighting will be there in whatever compiler you are using. The syntax highlighting feature will be definitely there. So you can understand that by the simple syntax highlighting features, like if, else, like elif or false, await, all these things are features. So no need to remember all these things. As we will continue to code more, you will automatically understand about the keywords. Okay. So next thing is indentation. This thing is really very important, because indentation in any other programming languages like C, Java, Python, or even if we include HTML, CSS, so in all these languages, indentation is only for like showing that, yeah, this is the actual structure, and there is not that much emphasis on indentation. Even if we skip some indentation, the code will work fine, absolutely fine. But in Python, if we miss some indentation, indentation is basically the space at the beginning of a code line. So we have to specify some colon, and then we have to give some indentation. So as I discussed in this slide, that we do not have to write semicolon, we do not have to write this curly braces for function. Then how the compiler will understand that, yeah, this is a this part is inside this function, this part is inside this for loop, or this part is inside the if or else block. So for that particular reason, we have to include the indentation properly. We have to maintain the indentation throughout our code in a proper way. So without indentation, whatever we will write, our compiler will throw some errors. Remember this point, because whenever we will be learning if else or any like if else, for loop, classes and functions, so at that time indentation will be really very important. So if we skip any indentation, there will be error. Okay. So here are some very basic codes. As this codes I already discussed this one. So here is another code. So like there are very basic code, you can see them in your home and you can practice them. Okay, so this is a very popular example of to swap two variables, swap two numbers. This is very popular example. Okay, so this was a class assignment. Please try this one and please let me know whether you are able to do this or not in your Google Colab. Okay, and this will not take more than 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Please try this one. And if you are having any doubt, you can unmute yourself and ask me anytime. Okay. So we will again discuss about one more feature, one more special feature that is about the separate and in arguments. So this is really very cool feature in Python. So if basically we write a print statement like this one, hello, and in the next line, if we write print world. So whenever we write like this one, by default the line ends with a backslash n, or it already creates a new line. Whenever we write print and then again a print line, it will automatically end the line with a new line or with a backslash n. So the default end is a backslash n. But if we want to like print these two statements or these two words in a single line, we have something called end. We have to specify that in the at the end, what will be the what will be how the line will end. So this is the actual thing, that how the line will end, we can pass that to our Python compiler. We can either use backslash n, we can either use a single space. So if we use a single space and then we execute this one, you can see hello world, we have printed hello world in a single line. So if we specify backslash t, that is for tab, you can see the hello, after that there is a tab and then world. So if we specify some more backslash t's, so you can see there is a difference between hello and world. Now, if we again specify backslash in, backslash in, backslash in, some more backslash in, we can include as much as we want. So by default, there was one backslash in, and because we have specified three backslash in, so there are the three lines gap. So this is about end. So if we don't want the default, the end, how the line will end by default, we can specify it right this way, like this one. There is another thing, let me show it here. The another thing is, if we have two strings like this one, hello, hello everyone, and another string is we are learning Python. And if we print this one, you can see hello everyone and we are learning Python will be printed. But if we want that in between these two strings, we need a separator, a proper separator. How can we do that? We can do that using this sep argument. Sep is another argument for separating these two strings, and how we want to separate, we can specify it right here. We can even use some dash dash dash. So this line between these two strings, there will be a separator dash dash dash. Let me show it to you. You can see hello everyone, then dash dash dash. There is no blank space, there is no spaces, only dash 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 is there. So if we specify some spaces, only then there will be some space. So whatever we will specify inside this double quotes, that will be the separator of these two strings. So suppose let me give it something else. If I am specifying like zeros, like this one 000, so it will separate these two strings by 000. So whatever will be the separator, it will separate these two strings using that only. So this is about end and this is about the separators. So I think this concept is also very clear to you because in some interviews, it is really asked a lot of time that how can you write two different statements or two different line in a single line in Python. So hello is a word and hello is a word, world is a word. So we can write these two words in a single line using this end argument in print. So let me execute this one. Yeah, you can see. Sometimes it takes a little bit amount of time as the server responds, but this is really a very great feature because all of our code or the progress will be saved into our Google Drive, and this is really a great feature by Google. Okay.